The people who supposedly invented buffalo wings cannot even agree on how the famous recipe was actually born.
Buffalo wings sit on nearly every sports bar menu across the United States, yet their origin remains unsettled. Most Americans simply assume this dish has one clear, agreed-upon origin story, similar to other classic foods. That assumption falls apart quickly once you examine what people connected to the dish actually claim happened. Nearly everyone points to Buffalo, New York as the birthplace, and specifically to one restaurant located downtown. That restaurant, the Anchor Bar, still operates today and claims to be where the wings began in 1964. On the surface, this really looks like a fully settled question. One restaurant, one city, one repeated story. Yet dig into interviews given by people connected to that same restaurant, and the story starts contradicting itself. Family members, employees, and witnesses each describe a different sequence of events leading to that first batch. If everyone agrees the wings came from Buffalo, why can nobody agree on exactly what happened that famous night? The most repeated version begins on a quiet night back in 1964 inside the Anchor Bar's kitchen. According to this account, the bar's owner arrived late one evening with a group of hungry, unexpected guests. The bar's cook, working the kitchen that night, needed to prepare something quickly, using whatever was on hand.
Instead of reaching for standard bar snacks, she grabbed chicken wings, a cut rarely served as a standalone dish. She deep-fried the wings whole, then tossed them in a simple mixture of hot sauce and freshly melted butter sauce. Served alongside celery sticks and blue cheese dressing, the dish was placed in front of the surprised guests.
The wings were an immediate hit, and the bar owner reportedly asked that they be added to the regular menu right away. Word spread quickly through Buffalo, and customers began requesting these wings by name at the Anchor Bar itself. Within a few years, this simple late-night improvisation had become closely tied to the identity of the city itself.
That clean, satisfying story is exactly the version most cookbooks and food articles still repeat to this day.
That tidy narrative starts to unravel once other people at the Anchor Bar share their own conflicting memories.
One family member later claimed the idea actually came from a different relative, not the cook usually credited.
According to this version, that relative suggested frying wings as a late-night snack for the bar's regular customers.
A former cook who worked at the Anchor Bar offered yet another account, describing a different sequence of events.
This former employee claimed the wings were created to use up a surplus of chicken parts delivered by mistake. Other accounts suggest the recipe evolved gradually through experimentation, not during one single dramatic night.
These competing versions do not just differ in small details, they disagree on who really had the idea at all.
Even the exact date has been challenged, with some witnesses placing the event earlier than 1964.
Each storyteller had a personal connection to the Anchor Bar, giving every version a plausible claim to truth.
With so many conflicting first-hand accounts, historians cannot simply pick one version and call the matter settled.
Long before this controversy began, chicken wings were considered one of the least desirable parts of the bird. Butchers often sold wings cheaply, since most cooks preferred breasts, thighs, and drumsticks for standard meals. Wings contained relatively little meat, making them impractical for anyone trying to feed a family efficiently. Restaurants rarely featured wings on menus, treating them instead as scraps used for stock or discarded entirely. That changed only when someone recognized wings could work well as finger food rather than a traditional entree. Frying the wings whole and coating them in sauce turned an overlooked cut into something worth eating on its own. This transformation mattered, since it explained why nobody tried the dish in a restaurant before 1964.
If chicken wings had already been popular bar food, the Anchor Bar story would carry far less real weight today.
Instead, this overlooked ingredient became the foundation for one of the most successful bar snacks in America.
That success would soon extend far beyond the walls of a single restaurant located in Buffalo, New York itself.
The combination the Anchor Bar popularized relied on just three key elements: fried chicken, hot sauce, and butter. Hot sauce provided sharp, vinegary heat, while melted butter softened that intensity into something more balanced. That balance made the wings spicy enough to feel exciting, without overwhelming customers unfamiliar with hot food.
Served with celery and blue cheese dressing, the dish also offered a cooling contrast that encouraged repeat orders.
If you are enjoying this deep dive into food history, subscribe. There are plenty more stories just like this one.
This exact combination became known simply as Buffalo style, a term that eventually spread far beyond one city. Bar owners outside Buffalo copied the recipe, recognizing its appeal to customers drinking beer and watching games. Finger food that paired naturally with beer was already popular, but buffalo wings offered something distinctly bolder. Customers could easily share a plate of wings casually, making the dish ideal for groups gathered around a bar. That social, communal appeal helped buffalo-style wings spread well beyond the borders of upstate New York State. As buffalo wings gained popularity, an entirely separate trend was reshaping American dining: the rise of sports bars. Bars increasingly installed televisions and built their identity around live sporting events, especially football. Football games ran for hours, and fans wanted food they could eat continuously without ever leaving their seats. Buffalo wings fit that need perfectly, requiring no utensils and allowing fans to eat casually during commercial breaks. Sports bars across the country began adding buffalo wings to their menus, specifically to attract football crowds.
This pairing between football and wings grew so strong that the two became culturally inseparable for many fans.
Restaurant chains noticed this connection and began marketing buffalo wings directly toward football season audiences.
National chains standardized the recipe, ensuring customers received a consistent product no matter the location.
This consistency helped buffalo wings transition from a regional specialty into a nationwide, expected menu item. By the 1980s, buffalo wings had become a fixture of American sports culture, not just Buffalo itself.
As buffalo wings became a national phenomenon, historians grew increasingly interested in settling the invention debate.
Researchers quickly discovered a frustrating problem. Almost none of the competing accounts had solid documentation.
Nobody wrote down that first night's events in 1964, leaving only memories recorded decades later.
Memory naturally shifts over time, especially when family pride or restaurant reputation becomes attached to the story.
Interviews conducted years after the fact often contradicted earlier statements given by the very same people.
Newspaper coverage from that period barely mentioned the dish, offering little help confirming any single version.
Without menus, receipts, or interviews recorded in 1964 itself, historians lack solid physical evidence.
This absence of documentation means every account, however confident, ultimately relies on personal memory alone.
Oral history can preserve real events, but it also lets small details shift with each retelling over the decades.
That gap between memory and proof is exactly why this controversy has never been fully and definitively resolved.
Despite this unresolved debate, the city of Buffalo never once hesitated to embrace its connection to the dish. Local businesses across Buffalo began branding themselves around wings, regardless of which internal story was accurate. The city government eventually recognized buffalo wings as an official symbol tied to the city's culinary identity. Buffalo hosts wing-themed festivals and events, drawing visitors specifically eager to taste the dish at its source. Tourists visiting the Anchor Bar today can still order that same basic combination served there decades earlier. This tourism boosted local restaurants and reinforced Buffalo's reputation as the spiritual home of the dish nationwide. Competing accounts within the same restaurant never seriously threatened this civic identity built around the wings. Instead, the disagreement became part of the story itself, adding intrigue rather than damaging the city's reputation.
Visitors often seemed more fascinated by the mystery than concerned about which specific account was truly accurate.
Buffalo's identity, it turned out, depended less on historical certainty and more on cultural association with the dish. Looking back at these competing accounts, a pattern emerges that explains why none of them simply disappeared. Each version offered a plausible explanation for a specific detail the other accounts left unclear or unexplained. One version explained the timing, another explained the ingredients, and a third explained the motivation behind it.
Multiple witnesses, all connected to the same restaurant, had genuine reasons to believe their own version was accurate.
Rather than one story replacing the others, all of these accounts continued circulating side by side for decades.
That persistence turned a simple kitchen improvisation into a layered legend, told differently depending on who you ask. Buffalo wings were almost certainly born inside the Anchor Bar in Buffalo, New York, around 1964. The exact inventor cannot be identified with full certainty, since no single account has ever been definitively proven. The bar's credited cook, family members, and former employees all preserve different memories of that same night. Without decisive contemporary documentation, those competing memories were never resolved into one agreed-upon version. That unresolved mystery did not weaken the legend. It helped turn Buffalo wings into an enduring American icon.